In this video, I will take you through how to control Google Slides from APS and Companion. And what we can do in APS is to control Google Slides through Google Chrome, which is the recommended browser from Google to work with slides. To get started, here we have the main user interface, and we can open this browser window by pushing this button here. So now I've set it to open on my main Google Slide page, where I have all my Google Slides presentations. And this browser window is like not your normal window that you use for your private browsing, because I think that if you are displaying something from an audience, then you shouldn't use your regular bookmarks, and maybe you have some Google plugins that can slow down the presentations. So we separate between your regular Google Chrome browser profile that you use privately and what you use professionally. So what I would recommend is that in the beginning of your session, make sure that you only have this APS browser window open. You can do this here from the user interface by checking here if you have any other Chrome windows, and then you can close it. Now you can see that we only have this APS browser window opened, and we're good to go. I first want to show you how Google Slides works without APS. So here we have two displays. This is our main display that we might copy this display and send it to a downstage monitor for the presenter. And this is like the main display that the audience will see. So Google actually has quite a good way to make sure that the Google Slides presentations opens with presenter view just from the user interface. So you push this slideshow button here, and you set it up that it shows the presenter view, and you decide which slideshow it goes on, and it starts. It just works. Actually, I'm very impressed with Google. This is something that other competitors should use. The only thing is that, like without APS, then the only way to open it like this is to go through this button here. And yeah, you have to configure it manually each time, because for some reason Google doesn't store these options. So it's a little bit inconvenient if you are like in a stress situation as an AV technician. And that's why with APS, the first thing I want to show you is the shortcut Control plus up arrow, which will do the same. That is to put the presentation in full screen with the presenter view. So whenever you are in like a Google Slide presentation in edit mode, pushing Control plus up arrow will put it in full screen. We also have the similar command in Companion. If you see now this display button lit screen, and you can see that we have this Google Slides presentation open, then the display button will put it in full screen. And while it's in full screen, you can see that the escape button gets lit, and that means that you can escape the presentation back to your main display. So there is one difference between doing this from Google natively and using APS, and that is with APS you have to set also which screen you want the presentation to show. So normally auto will be fine. It means that if you have an extended display connected, it will use this display to show the main presentation. And here we also have an option for presenter view. I can just show you very quickly what happens if you don't use presenter view. Then it just shows the presentation and nothing on the main display. So I think most of the time you want to leave the presenter view on. And if you only have one display available, then APS will not bother to open the presenter view at all, because then you have no screen to display it. So a lot of these things will happen automatically with our Google Slides control. Okay, so now let's start to bringing in some more presentations. We already have one presentation here, and I already show you this button that will open this main Google Slide page, and in Companion I have a similar button here, this Open, that will open a page like this. And from here I'm going to bring in all my 4 Google Slides presentations that I have in my storage. So now if you look at this page, you can see that the title of the page in Google Slides is always the name of the presentation. So we have 4 pages here, and in Companion we have configured this page so that these 5 buttons here shows the first 5 tabs of your Google Chrome page. And you can see that here is also the title of the page and the title of the presentation. Now there is one difference between how this looks in Google Chrome and in Companion, and that is in Google Chrome you can shuffle this around, but that's not going to be reflected on the Companion pages, because in Companion we always show this in alphabetical order. So here you can see we have set the Google Slides presentations according to when they will start. So the first one we start at 9:10 and 10, 10:30 and 11. And let's say that this one, the first presentation, gets delayed, and we change it from 9:10 to 10. Let me see here, 10:40, like this. And now you can see that this order of the presentations have already changed. So now these buttons can change between the tabs, which then is your presentations. And the way you work is that you select the presentation you want to work with, and then you push display, which will bring it in full screen. Now we can see that the Companion pages changes a bit. The escape button is brown, which means that something is shown in full screen. You can see which presentation is active. So just by looking at this page, you can see that this presentation portfolio is on, and we are on slide 1 to 10. You can change the slide with this slide buttons here, or you can just look at where you are in the presentations from here. So I change the slide and the Companion button is going to update, just like with PowerPoint or PDF. We also have a button that can take you to a specific slide. So now it's configured to always go to slide 4, like this, but it can go to any slide you want. So let's continue. Let's say the presenter goes through his slides, and when you are on the last slide, then you can just push on these tab buttons, and when you are in full screen, they will make sure that the presentations goes in full screen to the next presentation. So here is the wedding slides. Let's just go through this. You go to the last slide and you go to the next, like this. So this is how you can switch your presentations during the event very easily. But of course, no matter how good you plan, there will always be someone who brings in their last minute presentation, like the extra presentation. And it's fine also to just bring a completely new presentation on top of what you're seeing here with one button click. So here I have configured this button here that will both open a presentation and put it in full screen. The next step now is to make sure that the transitions between the presentations look smoothly. And to do that, we have an option here in APS. By default, I think it should be like this, like the seamless switching is on. First, let's see what happens if we turn this one off. Then now, when you first open a presentation, you're going to see the desktop background while you switch. So if you are just displaying this directly to the audience, it looks a bit unfinished. So the first thing we do then is to turn off this, or turn on this seamless switching. And now when we put on the presentation, you can see that it keeps the old slide until the new slide is ready, so that you don't get to see the desktop background. But unfortunately with Google Chrome, they want to have this pop-up window that shows when you go into full screen, that you can see here. And we can't remove this in APS, but what we can do is to wait to reveal the new presentation until this pop-up window is no longer showing. And you do this with this wait for full screen notification. Now let's see what happens. Then it's not going to reveal the new presentation before the pop-up window is gone. So now you can see it shows the screenshot, everything happens in the background, and we wait and we wait and we wait until everything is ready. So this will ensure seamless switching. I mean completely seamless at the expense of being a bit slow. So I actually like to take this option off because I think it just gets too slow, and a lot of times people are used to this notification anyway. So it's not, I don't think it's that big deal, but you can completely remove the notification with this option here. But there is another way to make sure that you have seamless transitions, and that is to manually put a picture or freeze the screen while you are switching presentations. So let me show you what I mean. Let me first put on a presentation and we go to the last slide. What we can do now, if you know you're on the last slide, you know that the next thing that you will show to the audience is the next presentation. Then we have this freeze button, which will take a screenshot. You're not seeing the presentation, you're seeing a screenshot from APS, and you can go to the next presentation while you are just seeing the screenshot. So now you're actually seeing a new presentation here. I mean, a new presentation is loaded and ready to go, but you're still seeing the old presentations on the display. This means that it's very quick to switch to the new presentation at the exact moment when you need to. So let's say now, welcome to West Coast road trip. And then you push out the freeze and it's immediately you show the new presentation. One of the main reasons that presenters and companies choose Google Slides is that it's very easy to edit the presentation from different locations and devices. When it's online, then 4 people can work on the same presentation and do edits. And I think presenters will expect that they can make last minute changes on the presentation before you put it live. So of course you can say that you're not allowed to do any changes the last day, but then suddenly you have to change the name and you just have to fix it there and then. So I just want to show you very quickly how you can do this in our workflow too. And so basically all you need to avoid is to put the presentation in full screen too early, because while the presentation is in full screen, then you can't edit it. You have to go out of presentation mode to do edits. But as long as it's in edit mode, then it doesn't matter if it's shown or not, because here I am in another browser, and for now you can just pretend that this is a different computer. And let's say now we change this. We have actually the presenter's name here that we got last minute, and we change it. And see here on, this is our APS browser, it's going to show. So in general, we can just leave these tabs open all day, and only when we need to display the presentation, then we push the full screen button. If you want to be extra sure that everything is correct, then we also have this refresh button, which will refresh the tab, but normally this shouldn't be necessary because Google Chrome will take care of the refreshing automatically. But you just never know, so you still have this refresh button just in case. When you are done with the event, then it's a good idea to clear the Google Chrome profile, because maybe somebody else is using the computer the next time and you don't want them to see the presentations or all the logins that you have been using. And you can do this with this button, close APS browser and clear data. So you get a warning and you push yes, and now the web page closes and all the data is cleared. I think this is all you need to know about controlling Google Slides with APS. And you also have this companion template we have been using available from our web page. The description should show the link that you can go to. I hope this is useful. Take care and see you again soon.